1 week away from the preseason opener. The 2019 preseason is coming for the Indianapolis Colts. Hell, it's starting tonight when we record this podcast. Joey Molinaro, Kevin Bowen, we're back. Kevin's Corner. The Hall of Fame game's tonight, man. I will not watch one play.
Really? Not even have it on?
No.
No background?
Yeah, maybe.
You gotta have those soothing pipes and the Collinsworth, grasp and everything.
There's no chance I'll have the audio up.
You don't like the little Sunday Night Football?
I can watch the intro, or I can listen to the intro music because I do like that. But outside of that, and I like when they go to commercials. I like the music when they go to commercials.
They do have great bumper music.
Great bumper music. Outside of that, man, no.
All right. That's cool.
But 1 week from tonight, I will be certainly tuning in and watching and paying very close attention to the Colts and Bills. It's crazy once training camp starts, Joey, how quickly things start to move. Like we're 7 of 16 practices into Grand Park.
Yep.
And this time next week, the Colts will be getting ready to play the Buffalo Bills.
Time flies when you're having fun, KB.
We are. We're always having fun on Kevin's Corner.
This is 150, by the way.
Is it?
150.
Wow.
Yeah,
man.
big time.
150 episodes. That seems like a ton.
That's wild.
Wow, that's 150 hours. Probably a lot more than that. God, that's like over a week.
Something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not good with math.
I think it is. I don't know. Yeah, I shouldn't do that on the fly. But, he's Joey Molinaro. I'm Kevin Bowen. Coming at you Thursday afternoon. The Colts just wrapped up practice number 7 at Grand Park. 4 in full pads so far. Off day coming Friday. 4 straight practices all in the afternoon, Saturday through Tuesday. And then, like I just said, they head to Buffalo on Wednesday for their first preseason game. So this is kind of our week 1 recap. I know we came at you Monday with the podcast, but we've learned more about the Andrew Luck situation. And I want to go over just general camp takeaways a week into it. Again, 4 full padded practices, pretty much half the time at Grand Park is complete. And so that will be what we hit on over the next hour.
Let's start with Andrew Luck right there. He talked on Tuesday, was that?
Yes.
He talked on Tuesday after practice. He came out, was in a full sweat, almost to make it clear that, hey.
He was drenched.
I'm physically active.
And he walked. He wasn't on a golf cart either.
Right. Yeah. Because we were all thinking maybe a golf cart somehow, God forbid, there's crutches that he's on.
Ooh, I was afraid you were going to go there.
Yeah, I went with the C word there. But he wasn't doing any of that. Give us a little update. What's your thoughts on what he said? What's the latest?
Yeah, so he did not practice all this week, which was the expectation once we heard him talk on Tuesday about the setback that he had. It's funny, Joey, from our media center perch at Grand Park, when we walk out to practice, the field that's exposed to us is where the quarterbacks usually work out to begin practice. They do their stretching on the far end of the north field, if you've been to Grand Park, closest to the goal line. And I start looking, and I'm like, I see a 5, I see a 6, I see a 7, and I don't see a 12.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Here we go again. Why is he not practicing after an off day? So obviously, red lights, full alert at that point, and then the Colts informed us that it was not a maintenance day. It was indeed due to the calf and the setback that he had from Sunday's practice when he was 5 of 11 in Sunday's practice and 7-on-7, which those are not great numbers for Andrew Luck. Now, it was red zone centric, so maybe the 8 of 9 day that he had a couple days earlier in 7-on-7, you aren't going to have that same sort of day, but you'd expect better than 5 of 11 out of him. But I've gone back and watched the 5 or 6 highlights that I took from that individual period. I don't notice anything throwing motion technique fundamentally, like his base looks off or anything like that. I never remember him being gingerly walking off the field or anything like that.
Yeah.
Or limping. So let's start with some facts, I guess. Lay those out here before we get into, oh my gosh, where is this on the DEFCON scale? The facts are this. It's a calf strain with pain in the ankle. And I don't know if you read that Albert Breer piece earlier today.
I did not.
I found really interesting. So Albert Breer was at Colts camp.
Sunday, you said, right?
I guess it would have been Sunday.
Yeah.
And so he talked to Luck after, he just had not the greatest practice in the world. Clearly, he felt some pain. We didn't talk to him after that practice. National media, that they get some one-on-one sessions with Frank Reich and Andrew Luck from time to time. So Albert Breer in a one-on-one session with Andrew Luck, Breer doesn't write about the calf at all. He only writes about the ankle. He mentions ankle and said that Luck, him and I went back and forth a little bit on Twitter today. He said that Luck used the word ankle with him as the biggest body part that was hindering him or whatever 3 times in the interview and never mentioned calf. So I guess at this point, and then Luck told us on Tuesday, the calf strain pain down to the ankle. So calf, lower leg, ankle, whatever you want to call it. It's his left leg, lower left leg. That's where the injury is persisting right now. So that's one fact. The other fact is we're now 20 practices here in 2019. You've had 20 team practices, 7 in training camp, 10 OTAs, 3 mini camp. Andrew Luck has not participated in a single team practice. He's the only player on the Colts roster not to do that. Spencer Ware is the only player at Colts camp that has not participated in a team practice yet, 7 practices in. It's 3 months long. So many people ask me, when did this happen? The best guess that we have is kind of mid to late April in that phase 1 of the offseason program during some training. So I don't know if he overexerted himself weight room wise, running wise. That's what you do in those first 2 weeks of the offseason program. And then once phase 2 started, AKA you can go on the field, you can do some individual stuff with coaches. Luck didn't throw. So I think right around mid to late April is when this injury first occurred. So now we're over 3 months, and here we are right now. And he's missed, here in this camp, he's missed double the amount of team periods that he missed last year. When you think back to the torn labrum and the designated rest days he had during that process. So it's a lot of practice time he's missed. I mean, this is a significant amount even compared to what he was doing this time last year, where he was participating in pretty much 3 out of every 4 days. He was participating in a full throwing workload in practice.
Do you ever feel like because he tries to not answer hypotheticals and be so kind of vague and not really give you anything because he just doesn't want to cause a stir, that by doing that, he kind of causes a stir and more questioning?
Definitely. Oh, yeah. I mean, and part of that's on the Colts and how they mishandled things publicly back in 2016 and 2017.
Right.
I mean, they didn't do themselves any favors. Now I would say it's more on Luck. He wants to be very reserved in what he's doing, honestly. I mean, from a physical standpoint, Andrew Luck looks at this calendar right now and he says 5.5 weeks till the regular season. That's a lot of time. And he's right. I mean, 5.5 weeks is a lot of time. The other bird on your shoulder will say, wow, so they think him resting for 3 days is going to cure this? What happened the last 3 months? Why has a calf strain lingered this long? So I totally hear people on both sides of it. If you are the person in the camp that says, he'll be fine, we're good, your biggest calling card is time. It is time. 5.5 weeks is a long, long time.
Right.
But then I am also hearing the people on the other side of this argument that says, why is this still lingering? And I think, and you and I both witness it on a daily basis, and maybe we'll kind of take fans a little bit behind the curtain. Hell, I'd say the vast majority of our fans have either played football at some point in their lives or have been to a practice. They understand the terms that we use at practice. What Andrew Luck has done at Grand Park here in 2019 is about as limited of work as you can have while still participating. These are very controlled atmospheres, environments, whatever you want to call it, that he's been thrown into.
Yeah.
Individual period. Exactly how it sounds. Andrew Luck working on quarterback fundamentals, throwing to his receivers, routes versus air, handing off to running backs, basic NFL 101 stuff, hell, peewee stuff. Then 7-on-7 is what it sounds like. 7 offensive players, 7 defensive players, no pass rush, no offensive line, no pocket. There's nothing in front of Andrew Luck. An equipment guy throws the ball back to him. He takes his 3-step, 5-step drop, whatever he wants to do, and he gets rid of it. So that is where I think there's reason to have some concern, because when Luck says this from Tuesday, or excuse me, I guess he talked, Tuesday. He says that his pain is when he opens up to throw, and then also when changing direction aggressively. He feels like, and these are Luck's words here, I feel like something is going to yank, something is going to pull. That, to me, is a bit scary, because what he has been exposed to in practice, those are, like, if you're going to rank a 1 to 10 scale, 10 is you're playing 85 snaps on a Sunday afternoon against the Houston defensive line, and 1 is you're taking the first snap of a walkthrough under center in terms of, like, physical threshold.
Yep.
What Andrew Luck has done at camp right now, I'd probably put it at a 3.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
You know, I mean, we aren't even to, he has an offensive line in front of him. We aren't even to 11 on 11. We aren't even to take off the red jersey. And we certainly aren't to, it's a 3rd and 7, week 1, Joey Bosa, Melvin Ingram. Yeah, I mean, and I guess that's where my concern comes into play, is when Luck says, I need to start doing things with less variables and simplify some things, I believe is the word that he used on Tuesday. To me, there weren't a whole lot of variables in what you were already doing. You were doing some simple stuff. So what happens to your calf, and how comfortable do you feel with your calf when there are different things being thrown at you? Because I think we know full well, if we are ranking the physical attributes of Andrew Luck's game, like, what does he do exceptionally well physically? Size, like 6'4", 235, 240. I mean, he's a well-built guy. He's a pretty accurate quarterback. He definitely improved his accuracy last year, and being in Frank Reich's system, I think, has helped that very much. And then you don't get very far on the list before you start saying his ability to move in the pocket, his ability to make plays off script, his ability to scramble. We start talking about his legs. I think back to the play he made to Chester Rogers last year, that 2-minute warning against the Dolphins.
Unreal.
Where it looked like he was getting sacked 100%. And that's not a scramble. That's just a subtle move. Well, subtle isn't giving him enough credit for what he did. He's making guys miss in the pocket. And he's still able to keep his eyes down the field. And if you're favoring that calf at all, is that play a sack? Is that play a throwaway? We take for granted, I think, in watching Andrew Luck, his subtle movements in the pocket and how he's able to keep so many plays alive. So that's where I have concern right now. 5.5 weeks is 5.5 weeks, but he hasn't been exposed physically to a whole lot in training camp. So what happens when, as we sit here right now, you have 4 practices left until Buffalo. I'd be shocked if he progresses to team sessions. Who knows if he even practices? But let's say he does practice. He comes out there Saturday. He starts doing individual again. I doubt he does any team session, 11 on 11, work from Saturday to Tuesday. So that means you're going to go into next Saturday, whatever that is, August 10th or something like that, the final week at Grand Park, and he still hasn't done team sessions. You got the Browns coming into camp in 5 days. You going to expose them to the Browns? No. So you're just, time is there, but we still don't even know where it is in Andrew Luck's mind of like, okay, now I feel good. I can take that next step physically, workload-wise, things like that.
Yeah.
Frank Reich mentioned today, Thursday, we're coming at you Thursday afternoon. He mentioned, I asked him after practice, can you share some details on what Andrew Luck's doing right now? He's got the quarterback guru. He's got his guy from Cali, Tom House, at Grand Park. And so what I believe is happening is while the Colts are working on the field, Andrew Luck and Tom House are in the indoor facility doing some stuff behind the scenes.
Any idea what that would look like?
I would think some throwing with movement, more so in stationary throws than versus, oh my gosh, 7-step drop, play action fake, like, things like that. That is something that I don't think, he's probably doing behind the scenes. But what Reich is saying is there's video of that. They're watching the video, that they like what he's seeing. I have no issue. I mean, even when I saw Luck go 5 of 11 on Sunday, I didn't think he threw the ball that poorly. 5 of 11 isn't good, but I've had no issue in what I've seen from him throwing the football wise here in 2019.
Does it put you at ease anymore, or should it put fans at ease anymore when he said on Tuesday that he's played through a lot worse in a
Definitely.
game?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's why I do think he'll play week 1. I do. The questions I have are this. 2016 and 2017, he talks about the emotional scars and how he's vowed to himself to be patient with injuries and not skip steps. That's all fine and well, and he has fully embraced that. I mean, it's almost like
err on the side of caution, big time.
Yes, it's almost like he's a born-again person in a way. He also had this quote with Albert Breer, like, he felt like, and I'm paraphrasing here, he felt like if he wouldn't have gone through the shoulder injury, he doesn't know if he would have been married.
So it's almost like, a car misses you by a split second on the interstate. You have a second, you got a second wind of life.
Right. Yeah. And you're like, I'm not driving or riding a car.
Or I'm not, like I'm rethinking, I'm grateful for everything. Yeah. Oh, I love my wife now.
I'm not taking any highways.
Right.
It's like we're going country roads the whole way. So, but Luck is such a damn competitor. He is. And so when September 8th arrives, if that calf's 80%, I still think he's under center. I just think it comes a point in the season where you got to look in the mirror and say, all right, it's never going to be like that. But if I don't start the season and we go whatever, 0-2 again or something like that, or have a sluggish start, does that throw away this season? Playing through a calf, I think, is different than playing through like a labrum. Labrum was, at the end of the day, that was stupid by him to play through that and to skip those steps. A calf, if you believe him at his word, and we have no idea, but, the Achilles, there's no risk there. There's no scans there. If you strain your calf, you strain your calf and whatever. Surgery was something that maybe was talked about back in like late April, May as just, okay, is this even a possibility? Would you need it? And they quickly ruled that out. I think he would play at less than 100%.
Another thing I found really interesting that we haven't talked about yet is when he mentioned at some point it does weigh on you as a franchise for the stakeholders.
Yeah.
Being in my position for the stakeholders.
Yeah.
When does that, because that to me was
that goes back to the competitor in him. Like, he understands how important his job is to himself, his teammates, the Colts, the city, all those things. He also said, I can't be average. If I'm average, this football team doesn't do anything. Well, that's like pretty much saying if Jacoby Brissett's your starting quarterback, the Colts aren't doing anything this year of significance. So Luck, I think, feels that he's in a better place now because Chris Ballard, Frank Reich, and him are all on the same page. Whereas a few years back, I don't think Ryan Grigson, Chuck Pagano, and him were all on the same page.
But at some point, do those stakeholders, hey, Andrew, come, miss week 1. What's going on? We don't want that anymore.
I don't think Reich and Ballard would ever go there. Because think about Frank Reich's background. Backup quarterback. Calls Jacoby Brissett a top 20 quarterback in the NFL. To an extent, Frank Reich's almost stubborn and being like, I don't give 2 shits who my 46-man dressing roster is. I believe we can go win this game. Which you love.
Yeah.
That's what you would want in your head coach, I think. And then also, from Chris Ballard's standpoint, and we know this firsthand from some of the stuff that went on in 2017, Chris Ballard, he cares about his players and their health and all those things more so than just about anything else. And so there's no way he would jeopardize his franchise quarterback. And because if you ruin Andrew Luck, and ruin is an aggressive term, that's a bad stain on your. I almost think it comes down to luck. And this whole thing comes down to luck. Reich's mentioned this is on Andrew Luck right now. You tell us when you're ready, and we will start progressing you and ease you back into things. So kind of wrapping up the whole Luck thing.
Sorry, it's
no.
Fascinating discussion.
Very fair.
Yeah,
it is. And I think why fans should be optimistic, 5.5 weeks. He's still doing some throwing. And I do believe he's going to be starting week 1. But there's a big difference between starting week 1 and being Andrew Luck week 1. Because that is my worry right now in terms of questions that remain unanswered for me. And those are, can you make plays with your legs and just even subtle movements in the pocket that we've grown accustomed to? Can you do that? And that is left unanswered for me. And as we sit here right now on August 1st, I'd be surprised if he played in the preseason. Maybe that week 3 game against the Bears, maybe. But
rush him out there against Khalil Mack for a first quarter?
Exactly. I mean, do you go over to Chuck Pagano before the game and say, oh, please don't tackle Andrew? You know, he kept you around for a while. Without Andrew, you wouldn't have had a job maybe for as long as you did. But when I hear Andrew Luck say on Tuesday, I need to start doing things with less variables. You play the Bears 2 weeks from Saturday. There aren't going to be any there's going to be a whole lot of variables in that game. Or do you want to throw yourself out there? Do the Colts want him to be out there? Because Frank Reich, I remember this story from Reich back last February at the town hall when he got hired. It was such a funny, you got season ticket holders in the crowd, and he gets a question about preseason. And Reich's like, yeah, I don't care about the preseason. It's kind of, and again, I'm paraphrasing here, but like, I'm probably not going to play the starters much. It's kind of worthless. Like,
I remember that.
Things like that. I'm thinking to myself, oh, God, the ticketing people behind the scenes are probably like, don't say that. Like, no, not at all. So the Colts were already going to be hesitant with Luck, I think. And that's kind of been a trend around the NFL with some of the bigger players. But right now, I expect week 1 to be the first live bullets for Andrew Luck. Week 1 of the regular season, and we'll see if he gets any live action here with 11 practices to go at Grand Park, or nine practices to go at Grand Park.
Matters don't get much better on the other side of the ball for Jabal Sheard at the moment. What's the latest with him? Yeah,
so I think it's now 6 straight missed practices for him. I've heard some conflicting things. Some people are like knee scope could miss into the regular season. Other people are like, oh, he'll be back sometime in August. Like, everything's fine and well. I didn't realize it, Joey, until I started looking into it. Jabal Sheard's the most durable Colt over the last 2 years. By far. Jabal Sheard has started every single game the last 2 years. T.Y. Hilton, next on the list. Missed 2 games. Anthony Costanzo, next on the list. Missed 5 games. To find the second defender who's played the most games over the last 2 years, you got to go all the way down to 20 games played, 20 starts over the last 2 years. Jabal Sheard's got all 32. The next defender is 20, and that's Marcus Hunt, Malik Hooker, and Kenny Moore. So Jabal Sheard is a tough you-know-what. And he's a violent run defender, and I think the early down presence for him is something we shouldn't overlook. Is he going to come off the edge and have 10 sacks? No. I think he's got 5 or 6 each of the last 2 seasons. But he brings something on the early downs. And I don't know if your other backups have that. Al-Qadim Muhammad has been the guy who started for him here at camp. And I do think he's a nice player, plays with a ton of effort. But then you get into like Kamoko Turi and Ben Banigou and Gary Green. I mean, you're talking about some smaller guys. You're talking about guys that certainly their strengths are not on rundowns. Taekwon Lewis, would you think about moving him over? He did start at end last year. And we actually saw kind of a weird defensive line formation today at camp. No Justin Houston, no Danico Autry, and then Jabal Sheard is out. Just maintenance days for Houston and Autry. So you're missing 3 defensive line starters. They took Marcus Hunt, their starter at nose, and moved him to D-end. Left Taekwon Lewis at defensive tackle. Brought in big old Grover Stewart to play nose, and then had Al-Qadim Muhammad at D end. But when Houston has been healthy and Autry's been healthy, they've just simply bumped Al-Qadim Muhammad up, and so he has been a starter. So that's kind of a look, and I have more of this on 1075thefan.com. You can check that out there, a breakdown of how things look behind Sheard. And I don't have a great gauge on when he's going to be back, but Joey, he's 30. I believe he's 30 years old. And I go back to like maybe the 2015 or 2016 camp. Remember the name Kendall Langford?
Yes.
Had a great season, like in 2015 or right around there. And then he gets a chondral defect in his knee. Some crazy term. Jim Irsay threw it out there again on Saturday when he talked to the media. And Langford was just never the same guy. Never. And so I think when you get any 30-year-old guy, no matter his durability history, Kendall Langford, I don't think had missed an NFL game up to that point, but it was around the same age as Jabal Sheard. You can't just turn your head at any sort of knee injury. So that's why I think there's pause for concern here with Sheard and just how effective can he be. Again, he's not the edge rusher that you hope Justin Houston's going to be, but he gives you a strong presence on those early rundowns.
All right, a full week in the books, Kevin. Last week, they got started on Wednesday, worked their way on Thursday. This is the first full week the Colts have been up there at Grand Park. What have you thought so far? Start at the top.
Quarterback-wise, I think Jacoby Brissett's been better lately. I guess we'll go quarterback and kind of make
break
our way.
It down. Yeah, quarterback at the top for sure.
Yeah, make our way through the offense and get in the defense. I think he's been better today. He was 7 of 10 to end a 2-minute drill. Boali Cox, Nyheim Hines, certainly the most frequent guys that caught balls. I think the offense missed 8 starters today.
Were they more of Charlie checkdowns, or was it because Cox and Hines, had good matchups?
I'd say of the 7 completions, you'd probably characterize 4 of them as checkdowns, but there were a couple plays a little deeper down the field to where they were able to hit a chunk or two and get into a very chip shot Adam Vinatieri field goal range, which was the goal. I think it was like a minute 50 on the clock, 2 timeouts, end a half sort of thing.
Okay.
So I think Brissett has been better running back wise. So there's 9 starters for the Colts that have practiced every single day. 9. So 9 of their 22 guys have practiced every single day of their starters. Marlon Mack, Mark Glowinski, Quentin Nelson on offense. That's it. 3. Defense, none of your defensive linemen. Darius Leonard, Anthony Walker. Then I'll go with nickel. Quincy Wilson, Kenny Moore, Pierre Desir, Malik Hooker has started have been out there, suited up, ready to go, practicing every single day. The fact that Marlon Mack has done that so far, I think, is a great sign.
Yeah.
We've seen Jordan Wilkins banged up the past couple of days. Spencer Ware still on the mend. Is it going to be another week? Is it going to be a week and a half sort of thing? Nyheim Hines has been out there as your third down back. So still some uncertainty what you have behind those two. Jonathan Williams, one of Chris Ballard's crushes, I think has shown something. The new guy.
Is that 38?
Signed. No, that's the new guy, Keith Ford. They signed. Okay. You talking about what he did yesterday?
Yeah.
He looked good yesterday. Yeah. He had some big runs. Williams is 33, I want to say.
Okay.
Whiteout wise, T.Y. Hilton is really freaking good at football.
Is he elevating himself more, or is this typical for him?
I think it's pretty typical, which sounds like I'm not giving him enough credit.
It feels like he's stepped it up.
I almost cussed there. He's just good. Like today, Brissett throws a deep ball, like an over route, and Frank Reich told a great story after practice. He was watching the ball in the air from behind Brissett. So he sees a lot of traffic. And what he sees as the ball's in the air, he's like, no chance T.Y. catches that. And as soon as Brissett throws it, I shift my eyes, and there's Hilton. And he does such a good job of high spotting the football, high pointing it, and playing bigger than 5'9", and just knowing where he needs to get his body to.
Yeah.
Think about that the first drive against Houston last year, playoff game. The deep ball to Hilton in traffic. Like there was like 2 or 3 Texans around him. It was not this like in stride, beautiful 60, like the play against the Chiefs that we always see on all the highlights in the playoffs, where Hilton just gets behind the defense and it's easy pitch and catch, relatively easy. This was I'm going to wiggle my way through traffic. I'm going to make a catch. And it was Jacoby Brissett sprinted 30 yards down the field to almost like thank him of like, damn.
Yeah.
I kind of needed that. So Hilton has been typical him. Devin Funchess, I think, has had some really good moments in one-on-ones and red zone. Team sessions, he's been a little bit more productive lately. I'd still like to see more. And again, that's part of it. It's Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. And this goes back to the luck debate. We just sit here right now, and Devin Funchess and Paris Campbell have they've probably caught more balls from Chad Kelly than they have Andrew Luck.
Mm-hmm.
So you wonder about that. Because, Luck, and this is not, no one take this. YouTube commenters, don't take it this way. Number 2 wideouts and new wideouts have come to the Colts, and they've struggled. Darius Hayward-Bay, Hakeem Nicks, Andre Johnson, Kamar Aiken, Ryan Grant. Now, some of that is because those guys just aren't very good at football anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But not everyone's been Dontrell Inman, where they've come in here and it's just been seamless.
Right.
So there's something there. And again, part of it is because those guys, they just aren't good at football anymore. But Andre Johnson had a huge season the year before he got here. Kamar Aiken caught a bunch of balls in Baltimore the year before he got here. So Devin Funchess and Paris Campbell, it'd be good for them to get some rapport in with Andrew Luck. We know Campbell's dazzled Joey in one-on-one. Unfortunately, hamstring injuries kept him off the field since. I mean, he has not done really. Now, he hasn't practiced the last 3 days, but I would say in the 4 days that he practiced, I didn't notice much in team drills. Maybe a little bit, but not much. So you're still waiting to see. You're waiting him to get back on the field, and then you're waiting for him to really take that jump. Ebron Doyle, nothing stands out. Doyle's practiced a good amount. He's got an oblique right now that he's dealing with, an oblique injury. Frank Reich said nothing major. Ali Cox been solid. I like Hale Hinchus, that undrafted tight end. I do.
I think a lot of people on the sideline that have, we're kind of roaming. Hale is a pretty popular guy that people like.
Unfortunately, Ross Travis, I think it's a hamstring now he's dealing with. He's favoring that knee a lot more than Deion Kane favors his knee. Deion Kane looks good physically. Looks great
Unreal.
Physically. No knee brace. Doing everything. I mean, we should have known it. Day one when he was back there to take kick returns, should have been like, oh, my God, there's no worry about this guy's knee.
I mean, after practice yesterday, he was doing full sprint, dig routes, chopping down, cutting.
For
nothing.
sure. Yeah, there was absolutely zero hindrance or worry about his knee and planting and stuff like that. We have seen some inconsistency out of him in team drills. He had a rough day on Wednesday catching the football, and that's to be expected. There's rust. This is a guy coming back from ACL, so eager to see him certainly next Thursday and just knock more of that rust off coming up. Before we move over to the defense, O-line wise, it's the exact starting unit you would expect. LaRaven Clark is your backup at both tackle spots. When Anthony Costanzo's been out, it's been Clark in there for him. When Braden Smith was out yesterday, it was LaRaven Clark at right tackle. So this guy is your swing tackle right now. That might scare some people. And, I certainly have noticed him having some issues here early on in camp, but that shouldn't be shocking to anyone. And for those people that really care about their deep parts of the 53-man roster, 90-man roster, Josh Andrews was the backup center today. He started with Ryan Kelly out over Evan Boehm. So I guess that's something to note on the offense.
You mentioned that no defensive lineman is practiced every single day. Or starter defensive lineman has practice every single day.
Right.
Want to flip over there and start with them?
Yeah, maintenance for Autry and Houston and Hunt as well. Those are your starters, those three, and then Sheard if he's healthy, Al-Qadim Muhammad if he's not. Komoko Turi got back to practice today in full pads, which is important for him. Didn't really notice a whole lot out of him in team settings. But, the guy that's still very far down in the depth chart and has missed the last couple days is Ben Banogu. And, as I sit here right now, Joey, if I'm going to rank the rookies and who has gotten the most starting reps so far in camp, I'd rank in order of probably Rock Yassin, then Kari Willis, then EJ Speed, Bobby Okereke, got a lot of run today, then Paris Campbell, and then Ben Banigou, which that order, Yassin, Willis, Speed, Okereke, Campbell, Banigou, the last three on that list, we would have said for sure they would have been the top three, along with Rock, once they got drafted, and even during the spring. But that's the nature of what we've seen so far right now. Still a lot of interchanging and mixing and matching with the defense, but that's how we've seen things operate. So Ben Banigou remains probably, if everyone's healthy on the D-line, probably running with your third team at defensive end. Linebacker-wise, it's been Darius Leonard and Anthony Walker easily the most frequent. It was Matthew Adams at Sam through the first 5 practices. The last 2, it's been EJ Speed. And what a rise for him. You know, the thing that the Colts love and what jumps off the tape should be no surprise. It's his speed. It's his ability to hit. Now they want to work him at Sam because there's no room for him at Will or Mike. And Will is where they were using him, backing up, obviously, Darius Leonard. But now they've used him at Sam. And I'll caution that I asked Matt Eberflus on Wednesday, I guess it was, how many snaps do you play your Sam linebacker a game in today's NFL? Any guesses?
I know. I heard him. He said 10 to 15.
10 to 15.
Yeah.
Out of like a typical 65 to 70 sort of play game. So, I mean, that's small. But, EJ Speed is clearly making a strong impression of like, okay, can he mentally get there? Physically, he's popping. Can he mentally get there? And they're going to try and expose him to other positions. So, EJ Speed's making this team, without a doubt. He is going to play special teams, and we'll see if he can factor into some reps. Okereke today, Joey, through the first 5 or 6 practices, it has been a bit stunning to me. We haven't seen Okereke more with the starting unit. Today, we saw him a lot. Anthony Walker was healthy. Full pads on today. Bobby Okereke, it was one of those things where he decided to ramp it up a couple notches. There's always that gray area of like, what is allowed hitting-wise at camp? You're wearing full pads. Can you hit? Can you really hit? Okereke was like, he acted like it was a game.
Yeah.
I mean, he laid some guys out today that didn't make the offensive players too happy with some of those hits. But Bobby Okereke is probably like, shit.
I'm not worried about you.
Yeah, I haven't got many starting reps yet. I'm going to make sure that they know I can be physical and I can play on rundowns, which I think is a bit of a question for him. So, as we go into week 2 at Grand Park, I'm really intrigued. I still think Anthony Walker is definitely the favorite, but how do we see Okereke's role develop? What do we see for EJ Speed against Matthew Adams? Those sorts of things. That's how linebacker looks to me. Secondary-wise,
I've been like, am I wrong to feel impressed with the secondary so far?
No, I don't think you're wrong at all.
Okay.
I think they've been pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. And again, when Andrew Luck's quarterback, maybe we're grading them on a bit of a curve right now, but yeah, I think you're spot on there, man.
Hey, we're going to find out next week for sure with who's coming into town.
Baker?
Baker, Odell, all those guys.
I know for sure. I was going to say, they probably won't get tested on Thursday night with Josh Allen, but was that too harsh on Josh Allen?
Deep ball, for sure.
Yeah. Good point. We'll see if Josh Allen plays. I don't know. I'd assume the second-year quarterback would play.
But, yeah, we're going to find out pretty quick next week.
Yeah, we will. Kenny Moore is really good and really sound. Pierre Desir, we know. They've rotated a ton at that third corner spot. A ton. The most frequent guys, and I'll say in order, Quincy Wilson, Rock Yassin, Nate Hairston. I think I ranted a little bit on Monday's podcast. I won't go into it again, but I think Nate Hairston is ahead of Jalen Collins on the depth chart, on the 53-man roster, whatever you want to throw out there. That's going to be a fun competition to watch moving forward. into camp. Safety-wise, man, Matthias Farley is your fifth safety in my eyes. Malik Hooker and Clayton Geathers are your 1 and 2. Geathers has been on a bit of a pitch count, so he hasn't been practicing, full throttle the whole practice. And when they go to subs, it was George Odom a lot early on, but dude, Khari Willis is playing. Khari Willis is coming on. I asked Malik Hooker today after practice, tell me more about Khari Willis. He said, called him Clayton Geathers 2.0. Mm-hmm. So I think you get that physicality, not the same frame. Definitely not the same frame. Much smaller than Clayton Geathers. But, yeah. He's a guy that was down on the depth chart in the spring. But, again, he's coming a bit. So, those are my takeaways. I'll have more of that in an article form on Friday on the website. Anything else, Joey, that's caught your eye when you've been out there?
Nope. No. You nailed them.
I think... things I guess I'm looking for week 2. The competitions, like I said, at linebacker, at corner, how the receiver depth chart plays out. Chester Rogers is consistent, and I know that might make some people laugh or cry, one of the two.
Or both.
Or both, yeah, that's a good point. We have an emotional fan base.
Yeah.
He's going to be on this team. I really think that. So... he's your third wideout right now. Paris Campbell's health hasn't cooperated lately. But those are the things I'll be watching. Deion Kane, for sure. All of this non-Andrew Luck division. But, yeah, like I said, Friday morning, 1075thefan.com, takeaway article.
All right, let's finish up with some Twitter questions.
Cool.
All right, we'll start with Yash T. Chimes in, says, one thing that sets really good teams apart is the ability to get into the playoffs without an elite quarterback, i.e. Nick Foles with the Eagles or Matt Castle with the Pats. I know Luck is going to be healthy, but do you think this roster is good enough without Luck to make it?
No, I don't. Talking with some people yesterday, 7 wins, 6 wins, Jacoby Brissett, 7? I don't know.
I can get behind 7.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough schedule,
This home schedule, though.
Home schedule's great. Look at the road schedule.
I know, but I'm saying 7. 7, yeah, 7.
Yeah, 4, 5-2 at home, 5-3 at home, 2-6 on the road. I don't know. Man, that was a sour taste to start the Twitter questions with the doom and gloom. But no, this roster to me, it's not. I mean, it's tough. I mean, who are the examples he used? Matt Castle and Nick Foles.
Yeah.
Did Nick Foles ever start 16 games to get a team in the playoffs? Like, obviously Castle did when Brady tore the ACL, but I mean, like, it hasn't happened often, basically, is what I'm getting at. It's very rare, so I don't look at the Colts and say, I 8-win ceiling tops.
From Chance, when will Kevin be verified?
Oh, boy. You and me both,
That's a good
Chance.
question.
Yeah, I got a birthday coming up next month, maybe then. I don't know. Yeah, when I was K-Bo and Colts was verified, we came over here, and it's a lot of paperwork to get verified.
Yeah, it is.
They treat it like it's freaking applying to be in the FBI.
Blood and urine and
hell yeah.
all that.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
From Casey with a K, which do you think is more likely for the 2019 season? We find out that our offense was overrated or that our defense was underrated?
That's a good one. If Luck's healthy, I don't think we're going to go offense overrated. Now, they're being rated very high. But I would say more likely is that the defense is underrated. I don't know. Now that I think about it. Now that I just said that out loud, that doesn't sound right. I guess I'll go offense overrated because I don't think the defense, and I'm purely going off that based off of ratings.
Mm-hmm.
The offense is ranked top 5 everywhere you look. The defense is what? I don't think anyone's expecting them to be better than middle of the pack.
Right.
There's not a lot of expectations on that side of the ball compared to the offense.
From Max, I know it doesn't matter, but what do you think our preseason record will be, and who will the preseason MVP be?
Max, who gives a shit? I mean, I'm sorry, man. Yeah.
It was almost. Remember back in like the Peyton days where if they didn't go 0-4, you were like, "What's going on?"
I have no idea. 2-2. And the preseason MVP will be Steve Ishmael.
My guy Krishan was talking about him earlier.
Hey, Krishan Hogan's had a pretty good couple days. He was good again today. George Odom laid him out today. Krishan was not happy.
Man, Krishan's a big guy, too.
Yeah, kind of undercut him, flipped him, landed on his head, but stayed in practice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's see. From Tim, speaking of George Odom, is George Odom what we wanted Clayton Geathers to be?
That's high praise, but I do think the Colts believe that he can get there. I do. He played through an injury late last season. I want to say like an MCL, and I know there were some TJ Green moments almost in George Odom's game last year with some penalties and just late stuff, but there also were some pretty good moments. So I see why they like Odom. But hell, maybe after listening to Malik Hooker today, they think Kari Willis could be a Clayton Geathers like, even though size-wise, George Odom is closer to that than Kari Willis.
From Steven, based on what you've observed in camp, how confident are you that wide receiver won't be a concern this year? Are you comfortable with the Colts wide receiver talent behind T.Y. Hilton?
I don't know.
Comfortable probably wouldn't be the right word.
No. And again, part of that is just, okay, Jacoby Brissett is at quarterback, but I think Brissett's actually thrown a decent, I think he's been better here lately. But with Funchess, I'd like to see a little bit more team production. We aren't seeing any drops at all, really, out of Funchess. He's been pretty good in that area. Campbell, you got to get healthy for me and get into team sessions. Deion Kane, you got to knock off that rust. That's why, Chester Rogers and Zach Pascal, if you're going off pure production, they're probably right there behind T.Y. Hilton in terms of 11-on-11 production that you're seeing. So I'm going to hold off on giving that a real comfortable answer here until I see a little more.
Sam wants to know, should we be happy if Paris Campbell produces at the same level Nyheim Hines did last year, or would that be a disappointment?
Oh. Yeah, hell yeah, you're going to take Paris. You'd like maybe an extra explosive play or two, but Nyheim Hines caught 63 balls.
Wow.
This is an offense with a lot more weapons. Yeah, if Paris Campbell can do that, you're gonna take that. I sit here right now, I don't think Paris Campbell's gonna be doing any returns. I don't. I just,
Not gonna try that experiment again like last year.
Ball security is priority number one by far on those units. So, but yeah, I think for now, especially with the injury, he's losing some valuable reps right now to try and get himself more acclimated to being a live punt returner.
He then follows up by asking, are you surprised Quentin Nelson didn't make the NFL top 100 list? Kind of tells you all I need to know about the list, right?
Preach. You couldn't be more spot on. I've watched players, interns, hand players.
Yeah, this was fascinating.
That voting, like, okay, here's 100 blanks, 1 to 100, fill it out. And the player would be like, yeah, you go fill that out. I'm not filling that out. Like, guys just don't care. Like, guys maybe will fill out the first 20. Maybe. And that's all like, who should I put on this list? Oh, he's a client just like I'm a client of the same agent. I'm going to put him on that list. It's like, I played with him in college. Like, I don't put a whole lot of stock into it. Quentin Nelson should have been on the list. Why is Eric Ebron higher than T.Y. Hilton?
Why is Eric Ebron on it and Quentin Nelson's not?
I could not agree more with that statement. Darius Leonard at 26, fair.
Yeah.
Andrew Luck at 20, probably fair.
Sure.
Yeah, there's some of it I agree with, and there's some of it I'm just like, this is so stupid. But clearly it gets people talking.
From Greg, it looks like the Colts are taking a precautionary approach to training camp based on sports science research. Any reason to think this could hurt players just in terms of fewer reps and less practice?
I think it's a good question. And, Chris Ballard threw up the caution flag before camp started. These first 7 to 10 days, we're going to be cautious. So when they get out there Saturday, that will be day 9 or 10.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, in terms of just how many days they've been up there. It'll be their 8th practice day. So we should start to see that injury list, I would assume, shrink a little bit because you feel better about soft tissue stuff, those sorts of things. But, yeah, I would say that's a real concern. And I feel like that's why you always hear, man, the first couple weeks of NFL season looks sloppy. Guys don't get enough practice time. Guys don't play in the preseason enough anymore. So, yes, I agree with you. And honestly, every NFL team's doing it. This is the Colts aren't some foreign concept to what the rest of the league is doing.
Get ready here, KB. Couple brain busters back to back for you.
Boy.
Stan Cal, how have some of the roster bubble/reserve guys been looking? Zach Pascal, Marvell Tell, Grover Stewart, Jordan Wilkins. Any of those guys flashing but not getting a lot of publicity for it relative to guys like Campbell, Yasin, Kane, Okereke?
Okay, throw them at me one by one again.
Zach Pascal.
Good. Yeah, solid. Maybe a drop or two, but Nick Sirianni gushed about him a few days ago. They would like to find a way to put him on the 53-man roster is the impression that I get. I don't think there is a way just with numbers, but yeah, he's looked solid.
Marvell Tell.
Yeah, I would like to see a little more. I've noticed him in one-on-ones lately, making a play or two.
He's just long,
Dude,
man.
He's huge.
Yeah.
Every time you look at him, I'm like, why is he not with the linebackers or like at least safety? Marvell Tell to me might be one of the better debates to put him on your 53-man roster. Is he Reese Fountain from last year?
Ooh.
Where you knew he was going to be a project, you think you can sneak a project to the practice squad? Or do you say, wow, he went to USC. A lot more people are going to know him than maybe they knew Reese Fountain. Can you get him there?
Grover Stewart.
Good. Really strong. I've always been a Grover guy. First, I love the name.
Mm-hmm.
Grover should play nose tackle.
Jordan Wilkins.
Decent first couple days. He's been banged up here as of late. But I liked a couple of the flashes I saw. He did have a drop or two now that I'm thinking about it, maybe the last day that he practiced. But yeah, he needs to get back in the lineup because Spencer Ware is going to come back at some point.
True. This is his time for sure. Okay, Travis Lee. These are the brain busters back to back.
Okay.
Stan
Travis,
Cal and
our
Travis.
guy.
Curious on thoughts of Luck's health. I think he's a great quarterback. I'm on the side of drafting him versus keeping Peyton. Don't think the roster then would have given Peyton his other Super Bowl, but seems like Luck's injury-prone image might not be complete BS. A lot of football missed 2016 plus.
Travis went there. Injury-prone.
Elephant in the room, right?
For Luck. What do you think? I always do this with you. When the tough questions, I always throw it on you
put it back
first.
on me. Yeah, just part of the job, I guess. I think that's fair to some extent. 2016 plus.
Yeah. I can't go there. Injury prone to me is a very aggressive term. And when I hear injury prone, I think more so of like, I don't think of lacerated kidney, torn labrum.
It can be not mutually exclusive or mutually exclusive, to miss a lot of football and not be injury prone.
I think so.
Yeah.
The dude lacerated his freaking kidney. What do you want him to do?
Okay.
Jack Doyle lacerated his kidney last year.
That's what I was saying is that's just a fact.
Right.
He's missed a lot of football.
He has definitely missed a lot of football. He also didn't miss a single snap through his first 3 seasons of his NFL career.
True.
And played through a shoulder issue in 2015. I will never question his toughness. And Travis isn't necessarily questioning his toughness with that question, but I'm not going to go injury prone. When I think of guys injury prone, I think of more of the soft tissue stuff. Wow, he's still missing with a hamstring. Wow, he's still missing with an ankle. I guess you could throw calf in there, but I think calf is also, I don't know. I don't want to get into the anatomy of the human body and what I would consider, the guy's soft versus the guy's just playing through injuries. You're kind of looking at it the other way, but injury prone with Luck. When he missed all that time, it was because of a torn freaking labrum. He played the whole 2016 season with some sort of significant tear in that shoulder, or clearly something was messed up with it, and he still played the entire season. So then he sits out 2017. 2018, he pretty much takes every meaningful snap. No, I can't go injury prone.
To be clear, I was just, acknowledging the fact he has missed a lot of football.
Yes.
I do agree with what you were saying about he's played through a lot. He's been consistent for the majority first part of his career, but to his point, 2016 on.
And Travis, I think the question, it's okay for it to be asked. I do. because it's two very, very different segments of Luck's career so far. Plays every single snap. I'm pretty sure played every single meaningful snap from 2012 all the way up to week 3 of the 2015 season or whatever that was. And then since then, has he missed more games than he's played? I don't know. I would have to look that up. But no, he hasn't. But he's definitely played in more. But he's missed a large chunk of that time. So when you look at it on paper, I get the question, but I'm not going there just yet. Now, if this calf injury lingers into the season, Travis is going to have a lot more ammo with where that question comes from.
Another first take topic there.
Yeah, that was, man. We've had some good ones. People are ready.
I want to hear some debate.
Football's back tonight.
That's right.
I don't know if you call it football, but
Ryan West. With Marvell Tell performing well, especially on special teams, does this mark the end of Chris Milton on the Colts?
Is Marvell Tell performing well on special teams?
I haven't even noticed. I usually tune out during the special teams period.
Special teams is when I check Twitter. I don't know how you evaluate guys running down. There's no live action in special teams. Yeah. I don't know. Wow, he looks fast as a gunner. If Marvell Tell can play special teams, though, if he can be an impactful special teams player, that would help him out a ton, and that would hurt Chris Milton. Chris Milton's a one-trick pony. You know, it comes down to this when you look at the end of the corner group. You got 4 guys back there at that back end of the corner. I think we all think 4 will make 4 are locks. Kenny Moore, Pierre Desir, Rock Yassin, Quincy Wilson. Then you got 4 others. Nate Hairston, the most versatile of the rest of the group. Marvell Tell, maybe the most upside or a young draft pick. Chris Milton, your best special teams player. And Jalen Collins, your best outside corner. So what do you want to do to fill out the rest of that corner group? How do you rank the priorities? If you're going to keep a 5th or you're going to keep a 6th corner. To me, versatility is number 1. So that's why I'm keeping Nate Hairston. And then after that, you can get into a debate of what you're going to do. Watching Marvell Tell play special teams, I'll try and pay more attention.
Corey says, in order for Indy to use one of their 2 IR return spots on Sheard, he has to first make the 53, right? They couldn't put him on IR right now.
I believe that's right, Corey. That's a good question. I should start looking into CBA and roster cut questions, but because Jabal Sheard practiced that first day of camp, he cannot go on the PUP list. I think we talked about that on Monday. Cannot be on the physically unable to perform list. So I think it would have to be like Taekwon Lewis last year, where you would have to carve out a 53-man roster spot and then put him on the IR to return.
From I-74 Football, here's a fantasy football question for you. Who scores the most receiving touchdowns for the Colts this year?
Oh. Let's go with the Ghost. I know it's not something he's ever been, maybe a big TD guy. Definitely hasn't been a big TD guy, but yeah. I don't know. I'm just not I'm not all the way in on Funchess, Ebron, Doyle of being like, one of those guys is going to catch 10 touchdowns. Hilton's going to be durable, you expect, and he's going to get a ton of targets. Yeah, I'll go T.Y. Hilton, 9 touchdowns. Leads the team. And then a very balanced rest of the group.
Laura wants to know, with Paris Campbell struggling at returns, does it become more likely that Chester Rogers is the last wide receiver on the 53-man roster?
I think so, Laura. Yeah, I don't know about you, but that's how I'm thinking. And let's not forget about what Chester Rogers can do for you offensively. Mm-hmm. I talk about Nate Hairston being versatile. Chester Rogers plays slot. Deion Kane doesn't play slot. Devin Funchess doesn't play slot. I mean, yes, Paris Campbell does, but again, you probably want another guy in that mix, especially if you're going to have some sort of gadget packages for Campbell. I think Chester Rogers, his spot on this team gets a little bit more secure, honestly, each day.
Peter Pax wants to know, what would surprise you? Pax, P-A-X.
Man, that's a great name.
Sounds like a superhero name.
Yeah, it does.
What would surprise you more? Luck throwing less than 10 picks, or Darius Leonard having 10 or more sacks?
Oh, I like this. Has Andrew Luck ever thrown less than 10 picks? Probably not. Let me.
It's just kind of hard for a linebacker to get 10+ sacks, right?
Especially off ball. What do you have last year? 7?
That sounds right. I can look that up while you're looking up the Luck thing.
Dude, if Luck had less than 10 picks, just give him the MVP right now.
Yeah, 7 sacks, 2 picks
For Leonard. Luck did have. He had 9 in 2013. He only had 23 touchdowns, but he had 9 interceptions. So Luck's 6 seasons of playing football. Let's go with the 5 seasons that he played a lot of football. He had 18 picks, 9 picks, 16, 13, and he had 15 last year. What is more likely? I'll say Luck throwing less than 10 picks with the injury caveat thrown in there. No, that's stupid. God, it's the second time today I've gone back on what I originally
That's not
said.
most likely. It's what would surprise you more.
Oh. I'd say Luck throwing less than 10 picks. If both guys are healthy, that would surprise me more. Leonard's a stud.
Yeah.
I know 10's a lot. Dude, watching him at camp, man, no one has more fun on the practice field than Darius Leonard.
Yeah, he's always hooting, hollering. You can tell some guys are just there to go through the motions, and that's not him.
Hooting, hollering, dancing, yelling.
Energy.
That deep seam pass breakup he made on Devin Funchess yesterday.
Yeah, that was nice.
Then he looks like he's hurt. He's grabbing his lower back. He just stays in there.
Yep. Just an old school football guy. Gotta love it.
He's rare, man.
From Benji, admittedly, I'm pulling for Reese Fountain to be the 5th wideout. I believe he has more long-term upside than Chester Rogers. Hines, Wilkins, and Campbell could cover the special teams duties the Colts would miss by cutting Chester. No?
Benji, I don't know if you believe in a higher being or what, but I'd start bringing out the rosary beads.
Did you watch the preseason last year?
Yeah, I know. Hines Campbell. I wasn't even going there. I was just saying more of Reese Fountain just making the team. Great highlight to end practice today. Snatched the ball out of, I think the Colts tweeted out the video of it. Beautiful highlight. But I go back to what I just said. Your 5th wideout has got to be versatile. He's got to give you an element that's not what Deion Kane is giving you. So if Deion Kane's making the team, which I think we all expect him to do, I just don't see Reese. If I'm making a roster right now, like a depth chart right now, I'm putting Reese Fountain 7th, 8th.
I was going to say, you put him behind Pascal.
Probably Marcus Johnson.
Mojo. It's his rap name.
I might feel better about Krishan Hogan. Seriously.
Damn.
You need to see more consistency out of Reese. He's had a couple good days in a row. Probably his best back-to-back practices I've seen him, honestly. But now you got to be consistent.
From Sam, so is there really a competition at Mike linebacker? Okereke has been getting a lot of fun with the ones that run, I think he meant to say, not fun, typo. A lot of run with the ones the past 2 days.
I think that competition is starting to develop again. It wasn't a competition through the first 5 or 6 days, but what I saw today, they're open to giving him a chance. We'll see if today's impression was enough to, maybe mix and match a little bit more next week.
Mike says, taking a macro viewpoint of the NFL, can we remove the idea that running backs should buy their offensive linemen gifts? Perhaps now it should be reversed with the contracts given out to the O-line.
Mikey, that's a good one. Yeah, I hear him out. Running backs aren't making the same amount of money that O-linemen are making. Yeah, it might be one. It might be one of these things, Joey. The running backs take the O-linemen to BW3s. The O-lineman takes the running back to St. Elmo's.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Running back tries to be nice, but there's 5 of them.
It's more for the gesture when the running back does it, not what actually comes from it.
Right. Yeah, I think I'll go there. I think I'll go with. I'm on board with that, Mike. Let's get the O-lineman to start up in the ante a little bit for their running backs.
All right, this is from Chris. Is EJ Speed making a case that he should make this roster?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I said when he got drafted, I thought he'd be competing for a roster spot at best. He is making this roster right now. EJ Speed is turning some heads.
Yep. Nick wants to know thoughts on Shaq Taylor, undrafted free agent corner from Kansas so far in training camp.
Good first day for Shaq. Great first day for Shaq. And since then, I haven't noticed a whole lot. When I talk about undrafted guys, I still think Hale Hinchus out of Alabama. He's got the best bet right now.
From Lewis, can we be happy about how the defense has looked, given it's been going up against Jacoby majority of the time and not Andrew?
That's always like the issue with training camp. Man, offense looks great. Oh, God, does that mean the defense is bad? Defense looks great.
Right.
Does that mean the offense looks bad? So, some joint practices will help you out in that evaluation period. And I would expect the defense to get the better of the offense. And the offense has had a lot of other guys out, not named Andrew Luck. I mean, they've had, several rest days for Hilton, Costanzo, Doyle, Ebron,
Mm-hmm.
So, you should feel good, but I'm not saying bet on them to be a top 5 unit or anything.
Eric King wants to know if it were week 1, Luck would be playing, so don't worry. But he has been dealing with the calf since May. Isn't that a reason enough to worry?
I think so. Right? We're going on 3+ months.
It's August now, guys.
This is August 1st.
Yeah.
3+ months on a calf strain. That is why I think people should be at least scratching their head, curious. Yeah, I think it's Luck had never really maybe he didn't test it out much. Well, when he barely tested it out, he had a setback. So what happens when you get more extensive into things, like we talked about in the opening segment?
From Wyatt, Malik Hooker was compared to Ed Reed in 2017 when the Colts drafted him at 15 overall. Hell, Paganoism there. Now almost 2 years removed from his knee injury, is he living up to that praise? P.S. I believe he's a huge talent that has been overlooked and will help the defense become elite.
Well, no, he has not lived up to Ed Reed hype. I mean, that'd be the biggest disservice to Ed Reed of all time. I think in the system, though, the Colts just don't ask Malik Hooker to do much in terms of being around the ball. I think we were talking in practice the other day. Someone threw out the number 8. 8 times he got targeted last year. That is so small.
He's just chilling.
He is just way back there. And I had a we had, I think, a pretty informative media session with him today. I'll probably post that tomorrow. Hooker just kind of explaining his role. And I'm like, selfishly, don't you want the ball a little bit more around you? Because he made a great play today in the red zone when it was more of a confined field and he has to come up and make a play. Made a beautiful play on Hines in the flat. And I do think he'll get tested this year with some of those quarterbacks on the schedule. But he was like, I am perfectly content that if our sack numbers are high, that is because I'm doing my job. And if the tackle numbers are high for those guys in the front 7, that's because I'm doing my job. And I'm not letting anything over my... that's just the responsibility that they're asking for him. And I think he covers a lot of ground, hash mark to hash mark, sideline to sideline. But, part of me is also like, man, he's a 15th overall pick. That's a lot of value to invest in a guy that...
Just playing
center field.
Yeah.
And in this defense, you need a deep center field guy. So maybe the Colts feel like they're getting out of it, but he's never going to be compared to Ed Reed in this defense. Never going to be compared because he just doesn't get the ball enough.
I don't know how to pronounce this name on Twitter. I'm going to give it my best shot, I guess.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Toxophilix.
All right. That sounded good.
Yeah. You just say anything with conviction and it'll be fine. Yeah. All right. Yeah. If Luck's calf/ankle is slow to heal and Brissett needs to start for the first 4 regular season games, how do you rate the Colts' chance of going 2-2 or better?
2-2 or better?
Yeah. So reminder for all those folks out there wondering off the top of their head what the Colts' first 4 games look like. That would be at the Chargers, at the Titans, home to the Falcons, home to the Raiders.
Some people might sign up for 2-2 right now.
They would sign up for it, absolutely.
Well, I don't know about absolutely, but some people would. I think
with
be content
Brissett?
with 2-2. Well, no. I was saying with Luck.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I thought we were talking Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett going 2-2 in those first 4 games, you're running to the bank.
Yeah.
You're saying, hell yeah. Yes, of course. The odds of them going 2-2 or better, 25%. I think 2-2 is actually somewhat realistic. I'd probably put it at 35%.
With luck or without luck?
With Brissett. This is
Just
all
all
Brissett.
Brissett.
With Brissett, I say 35% chance they go 2-2. But better? I mean, no way, man. I don't know. Like, yeah, I didn't know. I mean, those are some decent teams. Aren't the Falcons going to be better?
They seem to be kind of trendy now to finally bounce back, get over Super Bowl 51.
I mean, I think we all agree you're going to lose week 1
with
Jacoby. So that means you got to go 2-1 or I don't know, man. No, I can't.
Helps them out with that clown show Raiders coming in week 4. And plus your home opener, there always kind of seems to be a little bit of a different energy, you know, there. So who knows?
Yeah, that is a good point.
From Jason, what % will luck be at for the start of the regular season if you had to guess?
Just such a guess, Jason. I don't even want to throw out a number, but I don't know, 85, 90. I got to see him in team activities, which, if he doesn't participate in camp, Joey, in team sessions, we won't see him. Potentially. We might not see him at all because we don't watch practice once we get back to the facility outside of just a very light individual period, which you've already seen him do at camp.
Mm-hmm.
And he might not play in the preseason. So that's going to be an unknown. Once August 16th gets here, we see the same amount of team sessions as you see.
Not a lot.
No, not 11 games. That's it.
From Dobb, Wilkins, will he make the 53-man roster?
Yes. Oh, boy, I said that aggressively. Yeah, I think so.
From Matt, who gets the third quarterback job? Does Philip Walker still have practice squad eligibility left? I assume Kelly does.
Yeah, I think they both do. I don't know. Is it even I don't know. I like Chad Kelly's arm. I think it's pretty lively, man. I am curious to watch them in the preseason. And, do you carry a third quarterback on the 53-man roster if you have a worry about Luck's calf?
And that's his next question. Any likelihood with the Luck injury a veteran quarterback is brought in for competition?
Ooh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that. But yeah, that's a good question. I don't want to think about that just now.
Right. Couple more from me on this end. From Nick, who would you rather have on your side in a bar fight? Big Q, Quentin Nelson, or Yasiel Puig?
You see that brawl the other night?
I did.
I'll take Amir Garrett.
And he came in swinging with the left hook.
Left hook against what? 7 Pirates?
Sometimes that's the best kind. You just, you're so mad that you just don't even care.
How did he get out of there unscathed?
I'm surprised that he got there.
Yeah, he got there for sure.
But I mean, like, there was a pretty good distance from the mound to the dugout fence, and no one cut him off.
No one.
He
was ready to go. Yasiel Puig, I'll take him too. He's not even on that team anymore.
Yeah.
And he's still fighting. I'm going to, honestly, probably Puig. Nelson's huge, but you know what? In a bar fight, a big guy can kind of get, there's not a whole lot of space to maneuver yourself. Yasiel Puig, can I get a height and weight?
He's 6'2". I don't know how.
What do you think he's about 240?
He's 6'2", 240. That's what's listed here online.
See, that's the size I like. 6'2", so he's not the most obvious. Quentin Nelson's a big target in bar fights.
Yeah, and he would have other guys who are. They're always going to go after the big guy. It's going to be like the little ants that are trying to take down.
I'm going to jump on his shoulders and just bring him to the ground.
And Yasiel Puig, he's a crazy son of a gun. I wouldn't put it past him doing a Happy Gilmore, smashing a beer bottle, using that.
Exactly.
Pool
I
stick.
love it. Yeah. To me, this is almost a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Give me Puig.
Last one here from Angel. After seeing the way Reese Fountain has been playing, would you give him a spot on the final roster?
I would not, Angel. I'm sorry to all those Reese Fountain fans out there, but no. I would not, and right now it's not even close in my eyes. We'll see if Reese Fountain can change that over the next couple weeks.
Tough break there for
Did we do the DM ones? I want to make sure.
You emailed. Okay,
make sure we do those. Let's do those 3, and then I got no more.
Okay, from Sam, did you agree with the top 10 players in the NFL Top 100? Which Colts players not named Andrew Luck do you think has the best chance at cracking the top 10 in the next 3 years?
Well, I would say Leonard, and Leonard. Offensive lineman, never going to go in the top 10, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I briefly looked at the top 10. It looked fine to me. I didn't notice anything too egregious from that list. But yeah, by far, I mean, Hilton would have to have. It would take multiple years, I think, for Hilton to earn that. Leonard would have to be the guy.
Then he says, which Colt? Oh, no, you answer that. From Goose, with Luck calf stuff going on, do we make it a point to keep Jacoby around all year? Any faith in Swag Kelly being a number 2?
Yeah, I mean, Jacoby Brissett's not going anywhere. This is why Chris Ballard sleeps easy at night, because he's got Jacoby Brissett on his team. Jacoby Brissett is not going anywhere. Swag Kelly is a number 2. I don't know. I got to see preseason reps. I mean, there's been some moments in camp. There's also been some other moments. It's just hard to evaluate when it's like a third string O-line, a third string wideouts. Like, it's a lot of variables going on when Chad Kelly's under center. So, need to see the preseason.
And then we'll end with this from across the pond here, Kevin.
Cool.
Richard says, "Hi, Kevin. Huge Colts fan from the UK.
What's up, Richard? Thanks for chiming in.
My question is based on his strong training camp so far. Do you think Danico Autry gets more sacks than Justin Houston, as teams will focus on Houston from the edge?"
Well, I think based off what we were talking about on Tuesday or on Monday's podcast, they both had 9 sacks. They both played 12 games last year. So, boy, that's a good one. I mean, hell, if Autry keeps this up, teams are going to be worried about him.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say Houston has more sacks, but I think that's a really good one. Really good one. You know, for Houston, he's not the speed rusher. You know, he's more of a power guy, which I think plays into Matty Eberflus's system a little bit when you think about stunts and twists and things like that, because he can be effective when he gets into the interior, whereas maybe a smaller guy like Kamoko Ture isn't as effective when he gets in the interior.
Yeah.
He's more of just that speed guy. But I'm still going to go with Houston. But, man, I like that one, Richard. Thanks for sending that in.
All right, man.
Cool. That wraps up today's podcast. As far as next week is concerned, maybe, and I stress maybe, we'll do one before the Buffalo game. But if there's not a whole lot of musings from practice, we might just come at you Friday morning after the Buffalo game, recap that, give some training camp thoughts, and preview the final week at Grand Park. So with 2 coming this week, we might hold off until Friday after that Buffalo game. But if you haven't already, check out our YouTube page, 1070 The Fan over there. And we've had daily recaps from Colts training camp at Grand Park with a bit of a podcast feel to it as well. And as always, the website, 1075thefan.com, has all of your written content for the Colts. He's Joey Molinaro. I'm Kevin Bowen. Everyone have a great weekend, and thank you all for listening.